The following episode may contain inappropriate material. Listener discretion is advised.
What is going on, everybody? It is Jason, joined by the world's biggest jerk, John Orlando. John,
wait, whoa. What are you calling me a jerk for? What did I do now? We haven't even started the show.
Just the smut that you put on your talk show every week. It's disgusting. And I got to say this, John. The 80s had some, awful television. Everybody's like, man, TV these days, it's awful. I can't believe it's so raunchy. But dude, I never heard of Morton Downey Jr., but I know of Springer and I know of Geraldo, and I think Sarah Jessica Raphael was one as well. Man, these talk shows they used to do during the day back in the 80s and 90s were rough.
Well, Morton Downey Jr. was the one as a kid that I loved watching because it was like a train wreck. Like it was Springer before Springer, and hopefully some of our listeners out there remember Morton Downey Jr. He used to chain smoke. And he would have just the wildest guests, and it would turn into him yelling and screaming at them. And in fact, if I'm going to look it up because I don't remember what it's called, but there was an amazing documentary about him that was what's it called? Oh, it's called the Morton Downey Jr. documentary, the Evocator, the Morton Downey Jr. movie. It's from 2012. I watched it. It's really good. It's very interesting. Like that dude didn't really want to have that career that he had. He had aspirations to do like theater and Hollywood or theater and Broadway. And that kind of fell through. And then he ended up doing that show. But of course, Geraldo also was in the same vein. And you forgot Donahue. How can you forget Donahue?
Donahue. Wow. I forgot. Yeah. Donahue just completely slipped my mind. I forgot Donahue was a thing. Sorry, Donahue. Donahue's family. I didn't mean to offend you.
I don't know. Is Phil Donahue alive? I have to be honest.
That's a good question, John.
All right. Well, hey,
celebrities that I think are no longer with us, and then it pops up that they're still around. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Hey, we are off and running here, and we want the folks that are listening, that are watching, that are hanging out with us. You got to drop some comments. We have our friend Justin, a very great and good friend of the Three Geeks podcast and of PVD Cast. He is producing the show so that Jason and I can just focus on talking about the episode. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much, Justin. And yeah, so you got comments, you got questions about this episode of Mattalk called The Talk Show. Drop them in there. So, Jason, should we get started, or you got anything else you want to get off your chest?
We have an email, John.
Oh,
it's called Episode Trivia from good listener Daniel, and it says, in reference to an incorrect Facebook comment I left on y'all's page, which I did not pull, I should have. I apologize about that. Andy Griffith did not suffer back problems. He had a neurological disorder known as, I'm going to butcher this, Guillain-Barré syndrome that affected his legs. He wore braces many times during filming under his suit, yet still managed to execute the closing monologues in most episodes in one take. Another episode where he sits down for most of the scenes was The Kidnapper clip show, and I figure that was due to leg issues as well. The reason why the two Tyler Hudson episodes were not aired until season 4 was due to the writer's strike of 1988, monkeying with the amount of episodes a season could contain. The Bestseller and The Witness were just leftover episodes from season 3. Notice the opening credits are different, albeit aired majorly out of production order. Personally, I would have used them as the first two episodes of season 4. Once again, many thanks for the awesome podcast. Some other TV shows that would be neat to do would be The Fugitive, Fantastic 60 show that I believe one of you had mentioned, Miami Vice, Hunter, Diagnosis Murder, Nash Bridges, 21 Jump Street, Walker, Texas Ranger, And then he says, testify and get the tables.
First of all, Daniel, thank you for that Dudley Boys reference. Being the wrestling nerd that I am, I really do appreciate that. And in fact, I think we have a comment, or two, if we could get that pulled up real quick from Daniel, if I am correct. Yep. Daniel says the thing I remember most about Morton Downey Jr. was his appearance at WrestleMania 5 on Piper's Pit. That was awesome. Mr. Downey.
The only thing I knew about Morton Downey Jr. was that he was in Revenge of the Nerds 3. His son had pledged Alpha Beta, and he was mad because the Alpha Betas had wanted to be more like nerds, and he was not having it.
Yes. Mr. Downey, I'm going to have to ask you not to blow your smoke. It's good stuff. Good stuff. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, you just Google Morton Downey Jr. Piper's Pit. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. It'll be like a 5-minute clip, and it's pretty funny. So, all right, Jason, is it time for us to go ahead and get into our opening statements?
I think so, John. FSF Popcast says Mattalk with the exclamation.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, with that, then, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's get into our opening statements. The episode that we're going to review tonight is called The Talk Show. The original air date is January 16th, 1990. And we have a couple of guest stars. So, Jason, let's run down those guest stars. First, we will see Terry Austin as she will make her appearance as Lisa Bateman. You may know her as Trish Vaughn on Cop Rock. Oh, God.
Cop Rock. Wow. That is, that's a pull.
That is. She spent many seasons as Jill Bennett on Knots Landing. She played Mary Ann Adams in Gangland and also Karen in Raising Cain. And for those of you that maybe don't remember what Gangland is, it was a movie. I believe it stars Ice-T and Coolio. She's got a pretty good, resume here. Is there any others that I skipped that you want to discuss real quick, Jason?
She was also in A Murder, She Wrote and Baywatch Nights.
Oh, Baywatch Nights. I forgot about that. That was like the detective noir version, wasn't it?
Yeah, same cast. They solved crimes.
Did they wear the swimsuits? Because I don't remember that.
I've never seen it. I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Baywatch either.
Oh no, I've watched plenty of. Unfortunately, I've watched plenty of.
Don't say unfortunately. You probably used to watch it in slow motion.
It is what it is. All right, let's talk about Leanne Hunley. She will be playing the role of Leanne Wilson. You may know her as Anna Demera and then later Anna Fredericks on Days of Our Lives. I believe, I don't know this for certain, but I believe that maybe that character got married. That's why it was listed that way. She also played Ms. Jacobs on Dawson's Creek. She spent many an episode as Dana Waring on Dynasty. She played Sarah Cumberland on The Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo, and she played Marcia Carson on Models, Inc., and has plenty of other credits to her name.
Sheriff Lobo, what is that?
Sheriff Lobo, I vaguely remember this. It was a show, I think it lasted 3 seasons or 4 seasons. It starred Claude Aiken, who later would go on to play the sheriff in Murder, She Wrote. The first sheriff, the second sheriff, because Tom Bosley was the first sheriff. But so that's what I knew him from. I also know him from The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, which is a very famous Twilight Zone episode, and it's one of my favorites. So he was also in that as a younger actor. So
you don't really see a lot of people named Claude anymore.
No, you don't.
Nobody's ever brought their baby over and said, "Hey, this is my little boy Claude."
Well, because I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that's a European name. I don't think Americans would use Claude. If so, they probably spell it CLOD, Claude. Like, oh, you're a big Claude. You're an idiot.
John does not express the opinion of Mattalk about Claudes. We apologize if we offended anybody. All right, who else, John?
Wait a minute. I'm going to share. I just got a private message from Justin in the back saying, way to kill the flow, John. All right, well, let's keep moving on here. All right, our next guest star is James Harper, who will play the role of the dastardly talk show host Dan Galloway. You may know him as Arctaus Mengsk as a voiceover character in the StarCraft video game series. He also played several characters, again, in a voiceover role in the Diablo video game. He was also Jordan Lovell on General Hospital Night Shift, Dr. Jay Weiss on Judging Amy, and Judge Fallon on The Young and the Restless.
Wow, you didn't even mention his biggest credit to date, which is Admiral Kelso on Armageddon.
That's true. I was going to say he had a lot of credits to his name. He's one of those guys that when you see him, you're like, oh yeah, that guy. Like he's just one of those dudes.
Yeah, and in this show, he plays a douchebag.
He does. I think this episode is going to really, really upset that person that wrote that review several shows ago. Remember when we did that? Yeah, I think the content in this one's really going to have them like their minds are going to be blown. All right, and our last guest star is Conrad Bachman, who will be playing the role of David Cabot. You may know him also from the roles such as California Governor in Outbreak, Jim the Doctor in Tremors, Judge Stratton on Falcon's Crest, Commander Stone on Hunter, and I had to throw this one in, H. Ross Perot in the movie To Heal a Nation. Oh, man, I haven't thought about H. Ross Perot in years, Jason. Years.
Ross Perot, man, the only third-party candidate who ever stood a chance, and he dropped out.
Yeah, I know. And, man, I'll tell you, what possibilities, I guess is what I'm trying to say, could have happened if he was elected president.
Who knows where we'd be today?
Who knows? All right, let's go to the comments real quick. I think we got a couple here. If we can get those pulled up real quickly. As I think Claude Aiken also guest starred on season 3 of Mattalk, the Thoroughbred. That is correct. Yes, Claude Aiken was that was the one where Claude Aiken had a horse. That was also with Don Swayze, if I remember correctly, who played the mentally handicapped guy. But yeah, Claude Aiken was in that one. That was some classic Tyler stuff, by the way.
The horse talked, which was really weird.
No,
and
the horse
also a guest star in this episode, Nancy Thompson in the role of Michelle Thomas. No. Nancy Stafford. Sorry.
Who is Nancy Thompson?
I don't know. But, I mean, wow. I can't believe how few episodes her and Conrad have actually been in this season.
We talked about this.
And even, like, together it's even less. Yeah, but it just gets more noticeable as the season gets closer and closer to the end.
I'm laughing. Another note from our producer, Justin. Ross Perot quotes. I'm going to read a couple of these. Most people give up just when they're about to achieve success. That's a good quote to keep in mind. And he did. If you see a snake, just kill it. Don't appoint a committee on snakes. Okay, that one's a little jab at Washington, D.C. The activist is not the man who says the river is dirty. I don't know if I get that one. But war has rules. Mud wrestling has rules. Politics has no rules. That's a good one. That's a good one there. I like that one.
Yeah, me too. It's fun.
All right. With that, then, Jason, I have a question that I got to ask you. All right. Are you ready to give an opinion? Your opinion, and solely your opinion, so help you?
It's the only one I got. Yes, I do. Let's testify!
Let's get ready to testify! Testify! Testify with this rectangle behind us. Yeah. All right. A little something new for the listeners who have been with us since day one. Threw in a little music for Testify. So let's get into it, shall we, Jason?
Let's do it.
All right. Our opening scene is we are seeing basically a recording of Galloway where he's doing his bumpers for each of the shows that we're going to air over the next week or so. I love these. One of them was, quote, married women and their lesbian lovers. Another topic on Galloway's show was going to be women who make love on airplanes. And later on, we're going to hear him talk about men who can't get enough. So at this point, that individual that wrote that review about the sexual content of Mattalk has already fired off another angry review, I'm sure. Anyways, so Dan Galloway is this very sleazy, shock jock like talk show host. All right, he's a real jerk. And we see this scene where he calls up Lisa Bateman, who is like the executive producer. And she has no time for Dan. She has no time for his hijinks. In fact, the only thing she has time for is to tell him to get a haircut. So the next day, we see that there's these ladies in the green room. And one of them walks in, and we find out that is Leanne Wilson. And Dan shows up to wish them all hello, and he marvels over the fact Leanne came to be on the show because they have history, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And then he leaves and says, you ladies get to know each other. He leaves to go get things prepped. And I like how he was manipulating the audience, where he was telling like the production guy, you put this guy here, put that woman there, yada, yada, yada. The topic, Jason, women in power. Do they actually get their power by working hard and working their way up the ladder, or do they use their feminine wiles to get where they are supposed to be going? Jason, what do you think so far?
Dan Galloway is a romantic. What can I say? He knows how to talk to the ladies, and definitely a feminist, I would say.
You are out of your mind.
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm, people. Sarcasm. He's a jerk. That's just all there is to it. He's, as Ben would call him, a jackass, and I'm surprised he didn't, because I definitely think a jackass comment would have fit right into this storyline.
Well, he's a grade A jerk.
Yes, he is. So 3 women are all on the stage. One of them is a judge. One of them is Leanne, who was one time the co-anchor. No, well, yes. That. You know what? I thought that. I was like, they've reused that. I bet 10-1 they reused that name from this episode when Bryn Thayer joins the cast. But nonetheless, there is Leanne, who used to co-host a morning show in Bakersfield with Dan, and now she's a wedding planner. And then there's this pseudo-British woman that is basically a gossip columnist. And so he goes ahead and just kind of starts poking the bear, so to speak, with each one of them. That is until there's an audio problem and they have to stop recording for a few moments. All right. So then they fix it and they go back to it. And in the meantime, we get a scene where Lisa is visited by Michelle Thomas, and Michelle and her are old friends from college. And so Michelle and Ben are out in LA because they are going to be possibly on the show Real Law. All right, Jason, what do you think about another trip to LA for Ben Mattalk? What do you say?
At least, he wasn't going there for the murder, and it's not like, pick up the phone in London. So I'm all good for everything we're doing right now. Ben's going there because they want to talk to him about possibly being involved with a law show, a law advice show. And no, I'm in so far. Like I said, okay. I called you after the first 2 topics on Dan Galloway's show, and I'm like, John, this is the best episode I've ever seen.
Way to let the cat out of the bag, man.
Hey, it might have changed since.
Okay, good point. We haven't talked
45 seconds in when I told you it was the greatest episode of all time.
That's true. I did kind of marvel just because I didn't really think this was a thing, but then I was like, I kind of started to remember back into the 80s and early 90s, and because I was like, Lisa's leather skirt is a little bit like shocking, I guess. That's not even the right term. But it just was, I was surprised to see that in the workplace. But then I was like, well, it is the 90s. That was a thing for a while, and then it disappeared. And I guess it's coming back now.
Hey, man, I was talking down to somebody today. I mean, we keep recycling the 80s and 90s and 70s, like style fashions. Like nobody ever says, I'm going to wear the style of 1842. That's what I'm doing today. No, 70s, 80s, and 90s. We're just going to be on a continuous cycle of those 3 decades in fashion for the rest of our lives.
Well, you would think with Yellowstone being a big hit, people would want to dress, because isn't Yellowstone or one of the offshoots in 1811 or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Maybe that'll be, is that Taylor Sheridan that does that show?
Ty Sheridan.
Ty Sheridan.
Taylor Sheridan, man.
Whatever. I mean, Taylor, almost the same.
No, not
My
the same.
apologies to Mr.
Jason
Sheridan.
Tyler.
I would not get that confused with you. I would not. Taylor Sheridan, by the way. Justin says I'm right. You're wrong. So, haha.
Justin spelled it wrong.
Don't make our producer sound like he's incompetent. He is doing a great job. Anyways, let's get back on track, folks. Let's get back on track. So Ben overhears an argument between Dan and then I don't remember what the lady's name. It was a very Corriente or something like that. The judge. For purposes of my laziness, we're gonna call her the judge. And basically Dan is like, he's dropped this whole thing about how the judge might be just using her female wiles again to kind of get ahead in the judicial world, and she storms off. And so Dan's like, "Oh, it's great stuff, man. It's great stuff." And he's annoyed that Ben is standing backstage getting a drink of water. And he was like, "Hey man, I got 20 seconds. Then I gotta be back from break. Are you a contestant? Are you a guest? Are you on?" And Ben's dumbfounded. He's like, "I'm not on a show." And he's like, "You're not a man who can't get enough what? Sex."
And Ben's like, "How dare you?"
He is ticked off. Because then Dan said something about, "I'm surprised a guy of your age can still get it up," or whatever. And I'm like, Ben was furious. And that's where Jackass would have fit right into the script, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. I thought the same thing, but maybe jerk's worse than him.
I don't know.
He says jerk a lot in this episode.
Yes, he does. He does. Then we go back to the taping of Galloway, and of course the gossip columnist, she gets very mad. She throws a potted plant or something at him, which again is very much cliched because we saw, Geraldo get smashed in the nose with a chair, and we've seen all these other wacky things go on. Women beat each other up on Jerry Springer, et cetera, et cetera. So it was right in line with that. So then there's a scene where Lisa and Dan argue about the show. Lisa says, "It's so controversial, I don't think we can run it. None of our stations are going to run it, et cetera, et cetera." And so Dan basically reveals that he bought stock in the company and that he owns kind of the station now. And he fires her. And Jason, how about it? He gives her the axe.
Yeah, he literally gives her the axe. Again, romantic, very, very romantic guy. Really knows how to talk to the ladies. And as soon as he handed her that package with the axe in, and I'm like, well, that's the murder weapon. Her fingerprints are going to be on it. They're going to find it near him or in him or around him.
I think it would have been better if it was like one of those He-Man battle axes. I think that would have been sweet. All right. More comments from Justin in the back. Mattalk conspiracy number 1. John owns MIDB and then edited IMDb.
That is MIDB, folks. You guys can go there, MIDB.com. Don't go there. I don't know what's there, and I won't be responsible for.
Wait a minute. It's IMDb. That's what I said.
You said MIDB.
Oh, no, don't go to
BibleKnowledge.org. So you can go there if you want. It's BibleKnowledge.org is what MIDB takes you to.
Really? You looked it up?
Yeah. Good job, John.
And now Justin has just responded with conspiracy number 2, John can't read. So, anyways.
It's more of a spelling issue than a reading issue, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, anyways. So Lisa packs up her office, and it's this scene made no sense to me. She's packing up the office, but this producer stops by, and he just leaves a bunch of papers on her desk, and I'm like, okay, that's got to come back into the story somehow, and I don't recall that those papers ever coming back into the storyline. Do you?
He must not have gotten the memo that she was fired.
Oh, maybe not. So later on, we see that a woman creeps up on Dan while he's in the editing booth and kills Dan with the axe. So then we cut to a scene where Michelle Ben, and of course, Lisa, excuse me. Lisa. I wrote down Leanne, but it's Lisa. Lisa, Ben, and Michelle are all at dinner, and the cops show up to arrest Lisa. How about that? I don't think we've seen that before, or if we have, it's been a very long time where the cops show up and do the arrest like right there in public.
They arrested her fast. Like, did they even have time to look at the crime scene?
I don't know.
And
That's
how
a
did
good
they know
point.
she was at the restaurant, or that was her specifically?
I don't know. All very good questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of blondes and.
Hey now, what are you trying to say?
There's a lot of blondes in California. The sun.
The opinions on blondes in California presented by Jason Taylor are those of Jason Taylor and Jason Taylor only, do not reflect the views of Mattalk.
John, you can't even spell blonde.
Shut up. Because if I spell it with an E, you're going to go wrong. And if I don't spell it with an E, you're going to go wrong. So I'm not falling for this trick. Nice try. Ha 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 ha.
MIDB.com, folks.
Okay. So we go to police headquarters. And Ben comes into the interview room and he says the case is pretty strong against Lisa, but he's going to take the case. And so the next scene, we see Ben and Michelle. They're searching the editing bay, and they find a button, just one button. And that button is going to be an important clue, ladies and gentlemen. Michelle asked another editor about the editing machine and saying, look, if you unplugged it, what would happen? Like, you know, do you have to unplug it? And the guy said, no, you don't have to unplug it. You just turn it off like a television. So then basically that editor comes over and starts showing the tape, the rough edit, if you will, of that episode of Galloway. We go then to a scene where as they plugged in the editing machine, we see that it stopped on the judge. So excuse me on that one. I forgot to include that detail in my previous statement. So basically, Ben goes off to meet the judge, and the judge is really kind of blowing off Ben a lot. Like, Ben is very skeptical of her because she's like trying to get him out of the office because she has a brief to do, and et cetera, et cetera. And she reveals that she was told she was going to be the lead for Real Law. And I do like that Judge Wapner was mentioned. Tip of the hat to Judge Wapner.
Yeah, he started the judge shows, right?
Yeah, I think he was. The People's Court was, yeah. So there's a
Judy. I love Judge Judy, and without Wapner, we would not have Judge Judy. She tells people like it is. She's my hero. She's like the Simon Cowell of the courtroom.
Well, I guess so. She's also worth a lot of money, by the way. A lot.
Her new show has her niece as her assistant on there.
Oh, is the bailiff?
Or granddaughter, or her daughter, sorry. Yeah, bailiff. Her daughter's the bailiff.
Oh, what happened to the old bailiff?
No, wait. Her daughter is like a court reporter type person. She sits behind the bench with her. She like fact checks stuff.
Oh, okay. Anyways.
Good show.
Well, the judge had told Ben that she was eating in, right? And so as Ben leaves the office, he sees the delivery boy shows up with the order, and then he hears the secretary go, oh, no, she's eating out today. She has a lunch appointment, blah, blah, blah. And so this is not creepy at all. Ben goes to the restaurant, catches the judge with shady businessman David Cabot. And boy, oh boy, Ben is flexing some sass when it comes to David Cabot, is he not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's not like that guy. He's wanted for lots of different crimes, and Ben's not having it.
Yeah, John, 30 minutes to Wapner. Yeah, 30 minutes to Wapner. Only buy my underwear at Kmart. That's a Rain Man reference. Thank you, Daniel. One of the best Tom Cruise movies, top 3 in my opinion, if not the best. I love that movie.
All right, Justin, do we have any other comments real quick to pop up there? Wasn't Nancy Thompson the main character on a Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
That's why you're saying Nancy Thompson instead of Nancy Stratford. All right. Any others?
I've been watching a lot of horror lately. Nope, that's it.
That's it? Okay. All right. Okay. Basically, David gives an alibi, and he says, well, the judge was with me. And so Ben continues to plead with the judge to stop seeing David Cabot, et cetera, et cetera. The button is still a clue as Ben and Michelle board an elevator. And then we see that Lisa and Leanne are talking in the office when Ben shows up. He interviews Leanne, and she gives her alibi that she went back to the motel, she packed her stuff, and drove home to Bakersfield. It's also revealed that Leanne wants the real law job, and that Dan was kind of playing the judge against Leanne and kind of manipulating the situation for his, for his giggles and whatever. So it's determined that Leanne was wearing a very fancy bracelet on the taping of Galloway. And so Ben and Michelle think, maybe that's what this button belongs to. So they go off to this very fancy store and they find out that the button is really not it. It doesn't belong to any piece of jewelry made by this particular person that is, famous in that boutique.
Yeah, it's brass.
It's brass. It's a brass button. Nobody uses brass.
I'm trying to whistle my S's, but I'm not having any luck like Andy Griffith does. Brass.
What?
His S's come out as like little whistles. You've never noticed that?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to pay attention.
Yeah.
We go to Catherine's office, and Catherine is of course, the gossip queen, if you will, the gossip columnist. I love that she had the old style phone, like the phone that looks like it's from the 1910s, but it's clearly modern for 1990.
Let's bring those back. Come on, let's do the 1910s phones.
Yeah.
Can you imagine walking around with a handheld wireless version of that?
Oh, dude, that would be baller, I think. Well, Catherine, basically, she's trying to do double duty. She's taking a call. She's hold on, and what do you need, Ben? And let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about that. And basically, her alibi, she came back to the office to rewrite her column. And then as she tries to leave, she drops all of her papers out of her briefcase because the briefcase is missing a button. And Ben goes, well, here it is. And she's like, that's not mine. That's a brass button. So she takes it and throws it away. And then Ben is caught fishing through the trash to get the button back, which that made me chuckle a little bit. Yeah. But Ben and Michelle are very stumped about this idea of where this button goes and who did the crime and whatnot. So we go to a scene where they're back in that editing bay. And Ben is just like, he's trying out this wild theory of his. All right. He's watching the tape again, and they've referenced that they've watched it a bunch of times.
He's laying down on the floor and watching it.
Laying down on the floor, because that's what you do, You lay down on your back.
Get the guy's angle. Like, I get that.
Yeah, sure. Actually, all of this folks is just our sarcasm, because who does that? Who lays down on their back and looks up at what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Sarcastic, man. He's trying to see what the guy saw before he died. I get that.
But
that's why you're not a private detective, John. You don't know how to look at all the angles.
Well, that I don't have a pair of binoculars.
That's good. Your neighbors are probably very happy about
that. Anyways, so they stop the tape, and the time code says 337. But much like you would do on your old calculator, where you would try to get certain words to pop up, naughty words, by the way, you reverse 337 and it says Lee. And
we didn't get there yet. I mean, that's later in the episode.
What?
The Lee thing, we don't know that at this point yet.
Well, yes, we do, because he's upside down. He tells Michelle, come down, and the other guy come down. All three of them are laying on there, and they look up, and it says 337, and then they go, if you're on your back and you're looking up, it says Lee, and so that's what they thought, huh?
Oh, I thought that would. I know that they laid down on the ground, but I thought the thing was revealed later. Sorry.
No, it's revealed then. So the button is still a clue, though. So they watch the tape one more time, and during the restart, there's this little change in the wardrobe of Lee, because they started the process of recording the show. They stopped. She took her jacket off, and then they started the show all over again. So Lee is going to get set up here in the most cold-hearted way. She's gonna get punked like nobody's been punked before. Lee gets invited to test one more time for Real Law because the original host has dropped out. And so Ben meets Lee at the studio because he's going to be they're going to do this read through. He's going to be the other lawyer. And what do you know? Lee's wearing that red outfit because Lisa said that was so sharp you need to wear it again. And what do you know, man? What do you know? Ben spills coffee on it, right on the jacket. Mm-hmm. How many times, when are people going to learn you don't give your clothing to Ben Mattalk? Because he's going to find something. He's going to get you with that. We saw just a few episodes ago with a mink coat. Gonna do it again.
She didn't know that she was even like in the running to be a suspect.
Yeah. That's why I said this is cold-hearted gangsta Mac stuff right here, man. Absolutely.
Nice.
Thanks. So basically, after the coffee is spilled on it, Lisa goes, let's let Wardrobe clean it. Let's let Wardrobe. I'll just take it from you. I'll take it.
Yeah, you guys rehearse. You
talk. And Ben, says several times, I'm sorry. And let me just say, I got to give props to the Leanne who played Leanne Wilson. She was really kind of ticked off at that. Like, she had some real complex feelings going on right there after he spilled the coffee on her. So I like that. We cut to the courtroom, and Lee is on the stand. And it's revealed that Lee and Dan's partnership in Bakersfield was a little bit troubled. And in fact, maybe, just maybe, Dan had put the bad mouth to her, and that's why she decided to leave the station.
Mm-hmm.
But Dan has come back in the picture because he was pitching this idea of the Real Law job. And, hey, why don't you come down and be on my show? It'll be a fun show, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, okay, cool, I'll come on down. However, Lee has an alibi. Remember the alibi that she left the taping, all right? And she went off to her motel, packed her bags, got in the car, drove back to Bakersfield. Well, what Ben finds out is she did indeed do those first couple of things. She left the studio. She went to the motel or hotel. She packed up her stuff. She put it in her car, but she didn't leave. She didn't leave for another couple of hours, according to the evidence that they have. And so that would give her plenty of time to walk back over to the studio, go back in the building, go upstairs, put the hatchet right into Dan and kill him. All right. The button also comes into play, right? Even though I love that the poor prosecutor tried to object it. I don't know what you do in Atlanta, Mr. Mattalk. Got shot down, though. Shot down. So the button is back in play. The button is from the inside of Lee's jacket. That's what we find out because it doesn't match all of the identical same jacket. There's a whole rack of them. They all match up except for the one that was dry cleaned, and that is Lee's.
It still had the sticker inside of it.
It did.
What a dumb.
I know. And so Lee clams up. She doesn't want to talk about anything. And she lawyers up, which I think we have not seen that on the stand that somebody say, I want to talk to a lawyer. But Lisa then is found not guilty. And Lisa wants to take Ben and Michelle out. But they're like, nope, we're just going to go home because I'm a homeboy. I want to go home, get my pajamas.
I look at him like, do you know what that means?
1990, Ben. Do you know what that means?
Ben's for the streets.
Word. And Michelle shoots her down. And then this is the thing that I was thinking about. I was like, you know what? I can remember like back in 1990, especially like I think 95 or 96, I was dating a young lady that would like to go to the airport just to hang out. And it was watch the planes go and that. And so I just remembered because I'm like, they're going to get on a plane. Oh, yeah, it's 1990. They don't have to book ahead or anything. They could show up at the airport. It's 1990, buy a ticket, get on the plane in 20 minutes and fly back to Atlanta and be home in 2 hours. So, all right, Jason, you have any other questions? Or
we brushed over the hot dog statement. Ben said he wanted to go home and get a hot dog with everything on it. I mean, they do have hot dogs in California. I don't know if Ben knew that. And
well, wait. Those might be in Ben's eyes. Those might be tofu or like diet hot dogs. They're not the real deal.
And then Michelle said that she was going to go home and be a home girl. And yeah, there we go. I just finished it up for you.
And you know what? We also forgot to mention, it's scrolling down below where you can get in touch with us. Jason, can you run that down for the folks?
Yeah, you guys can email us whenever you want. I check it at least once a week. It is benmattalk@gmail.com.
And you can find us obviously through Facebook. That is at Mattalk Podcast. And yeah, we still are on Twitter. I don't know. I think the Twitter's gonna get the plug here pulled real quick because
Man, John is like my grandparents. You know, you talk about doing something over and over and over and over again, and it just never happens. John's like, I'm going to get us rid of Twitter, and we love Twitter. This was like 2 years ago that John was going to get rid of Twitter.
So you give me the okay to get rid of it then?
I have given you the okay.
Okay. All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our closing statements.
All right, folks. This is the part of the podcast where John and I will get this show again. This is the part of the podcast where John and I will rate the show on a gavel system. 1 gavel meaning this show was absolutely terrible. 5 gavels means it was amazing. -12 gavels means that John and I are moving to Europe and going to dig our heads into the sand. John, how do you rate this show?
You've done so well. But first of all, why we're going to Europe? Where at in Europe? Can we go to Luxembourg?
Wherever they have sand, and we can put our heads in and never have to watch TV again because it's so bad.
We could do that in Florida, dude.
I don't want to go to Florida. We're going to leave the United States because we might accidentally see the show. I doubt in Europe they have Mattalk on.
I don't know. What's the difference between European sand and U.S. sand?
I don't know. None. Sand is sand, right?
I guess.
I don't know.
All right.
Don't peek apart my closing statement, John.
Well, I'm sorry. Okay. My bad. Okay. You want what my rating is? Yeah. Man, I'm giving it 5 gavels. I mean, this was a really good episode. I thought the acting was good because obviously Dan Galloway was a jerk. As I said before, Leanne's anger towards Ben's befuddledness about sex and whatnot. I thought that was great. I thought it was a decent setup for the murder. You know, you screwed me out of my job. That makes me a suspect. I like that. I like the idea that it was in LA, but I think that they could have done more with that. But overall, I thought, okay, out of the normal Georgia setting, but I think they could have done more about it. My only negative is that I think that this episode was like so many, you know, we talk about trends, how there was always a pro wrestling episode.
I'll be there for you when Wayne starts to... You said Friends, right?
What?
Did you say Friends?
I did not say Friends.
Oh, I didn't. Sorry.
Okay. Anyways, I feel like this episode had the shock jock, you know, talk show, which I think was on like every other show. Like there was an episode about a shock jock on the TV or on the radio. And so it kind of was, I was like, it's tried and true, I guess. But overall, though, that still wasn't enough to lower it any. I'm sticking with 5.
And 5 gavels, man. Andy had complaints. Man, 5's to be like a perfect episode, which this was. This episode was fantastic. I absolutely adored it. Everything that I've liked in season 4 so far without the episodes that were supposed to be for season 3. We get the setup. We get to know the characters a little bit before the person dies instead of them just dying. And then you got to just hope that you can figure it out by the end. It kind of gives you clues and so forth. Writing's super strong. The acting was super strong. The funny parts were funny. The clues all made sense. It came to a nice conclusion at the end. So we agree.
We agree. Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap up here by talking about our podcasting projects. Jason, what's going on with 3 Geeks Podcast, please?
We are live Saturdays at 7 p.m. Man, I'm getting sick, I think. Anyway, we are live Saturdays at 7 p.m. And John, hold on a second. We're live Saturdays.
There's the proof. There's the proof he's getting sick, ladies and gentlemen.
Follow us at 3 Geeks Podcast, at 3 Geeks J. We've got stuff coming all over the place.
All right, I'm going to talk about the PVD Cast, which is my own personal podcasting project. I drop new episodes every Thursday at pvdcast.com or wherever you get great podcasts. This week, I'm talking about podcasting with Will Wise Otero and Jeff Dwoskin, 2 other great podcasters. It's cool. We talk about, our insights about the medium and everything else. So definitely check it out. And Jason, I think that's it, right?
Dude, I was so upset that I forgot that the Wise and Jeff thing, because you shared the link out to the entire podcasting group. I was going to join.
Well, you know what? I would have loved for you to, but literally I had created a separate group message for those two. And like a dumbass, I just went ahead and was like, oh, and then as soon as I sent it, I'm like, oh, crap. That was in the wrong group message. And I just was like,
got something funny about a message being sent in the wrong group chat. I'll tell you that out off the air. But everybody out there, have fun, stay safe, email, like, comment, subscribe. You guys already know. We'll see you guys in just a few weeks. Bye.
And as they say in court, nothing further.
The following is a joint production of the Three Geeks Podcast and John Orlando Enterprises, LLC. Copyright 2023.